Hi there, welcome to our podcast, The Secret War on Cash, where we take a look at some of the changing dynamics and facets or aspects of our financial markets, the economy. We look at what's taking place domestically and as well as globally. And today, actually, we're going to start by taking a look at what's been happening with gold reserves, and BRICS, the alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which has now expanded greatly, and what they're doing in terms of buying gold. And our first article here from Watcher Guru or Watcher.guru, they talk about BRICS gold reserves and Wall Street buying signal a $10,000 an ounce rally. Now, Chris, we have just recently gone over the $4,000 an ounce mark,
Yeah.
and now you've got $10,000. Well, first off, there's going to be a stopping point, which would stand to reason at 5,000 an ounce. They're saying in this case, in fact, this is Ed Yardini who's talking about it, I believe, that it's going to hit that 5,000 mark by 2026, and then by 2030, we're looking at price levels or expectations perhaps of as much as 10,000 an ounce. So
Yeah.
kind of crazy when you look at, the just how quickly this is happening. And here's the thing though, like we talked about this on one of our previous podcasts, that there's this fear of missing out that they believe is really starting to take hold, where people are wanting to not miss out on this rally.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, I was actually talking to Bronwyn, my wife, about this today. When you look at you hear something that says $10,000 an ounce gold. Well, we had gold at 2,000 an ounce just a couple years ago, and now it has gone up 100% to 4,000. So 4,000, now 10,000 may seem like just, it's a price point that is so far away, but yet percentage wise, 4,000 to 8,000, which is nearly 10, that's the same percentage increase we've had in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And go ahead. No, please.
I was just gonna say, yeah, going from where we are now at 4,000 to 10,000 in the next 4 years is what they're saying here, is much slower growth than we've seen in the last two and a half. So it's not only is it possible, I think it's very likely. And yes, you're right. It does sound like a big number because it is a lot of money, but that is the kind of trajectory that we're headed down right now. And as they mentioned in this article, a lot of investors are just now kind of starting to realize, hey, maybe I should buy some gold. You and I have been talking about this for years, but the average person out there, maybe they've heard a little bit about it, but most of them haven't gotten into it yet. So, I mean, they're certainly predicting here that as more and more people sort of jump on the bandwagon and they don't want to miss out on the ride, we're going to see prices continue to climb. And I quite personally, I think these predictions are low. Normally I've learned that when these analysts are throwing numbers out there, they're very conservative because they don't want to look like they're way off and they missed the mark. Usually, what happens is they miss the mark by not saying high enough soon enough, and we've seen that this year where they were expecting 3,000 or $3,500 gold as like a far-reaching goal, and now here we are already in the 4,100 range today.
Right. You're absolutely right. Well, and that, kind of, that's why I would encourage people that are tuned in right now. If you haven't contacted us to learn more about gold, the beauty of this is the opportunity is still there, both from an investment standpoint, meaning where you can see some good returns, combat some of the effects of inflation. But in addition to that, get some tangible asset stability in your portfolio, which is vitally necessary. You can do that by calling us at 800-289-2646 or texting at that same number. You'll see that actually in the link here for our podcast, or visit us online at www.swissamerica.com. And as Yardini's talking this way, we'll get into this next article here, Chris,
Mhm.
where you've got Goldman Sachs, the same thing. I mean, Goldman Sachs was talking, I think it was $3,300 gold for the whole year 2025.
Yeah.
And now they're talking $4,900 here per ounce in relatively short order. And
Hmm.
you're looking at this article, soaring gold prices signal trouble ahead for the US economy. And what's interesting, Chris, as you know, I'm in Jacksonville, Wyoming right now, and I'm here for a wedding and spending a few days. And we have here, you have the Grand Tetons, and then you have Yellowstone, two very large national parks.
Hmm.
And because of this shutdown, we went to the Tetons yesterday, and the bottom line is that you everything shut down. The now, mind you, it's kind of that time of year as well because it's starting to get cold here, where they
Yeah.
would be winding down. But there's no park rangers, there's no services there. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that you can't even have Congress agree on a budget in order to keep things going. And the reason gold and silver prices are soaring, as it says here, is because of not only trouble ahead, but we're in the midst of trouble right now. And
Yeah.
how, if they can't even come to some kind of budgetary agreement, how in the world are they going to fix some of these bigger problems out there?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's why, quite honestly, I try not to count on the government for anything more than I really have to. And obviously we do need them to function, but they do a horrible job at budgeting and spending our money wisely. And I think people have realized that. I mean, certainly, we've seen a lot of signs over the last 10 years, but we keep being hopeful that. This next group in Congress or this next president is going to completely turn things around, and not to say that we haven't made plenty of good positive changes, but when it comes to our economy and the value of our dollar and government spending and waste, it seems like those things never seem to fix themselves. I mean, the politicians are all getting wealthy, and they're doing okay. But the average household still has to struggle every year and be creative and figure out a way through this. So I think people are realizing that they're moving some of their money to safety. That's one of the reasons we see metals going. I mean, going higher. We talk obviously about BRICS and central banks all around the world, whether they're in BRICS or not, they're purchasing gold as well as a reserve because the U.S. dollar just doesn't have that same level of superiority that it has in the past, and they're looking for something real that they can count on.
Absolutely. Well, and it says here in the article towards the end, I'll quote, "There's no way you can interpret these exploding gold prices as a good sign. They're a warning sign." And they say there's clearly a case to be made that these high gold prices are a leading indicator of troublesome times ahead for the US economy. And this has become a growing sentiment. And it's not a reflection of negativity or negative thinking. It's just looking at the financial and economic reality of what's taking place around us. And
Yeah.
for all intents and practical purposes, what's of concern here, if a person is not well diversified and yes, having that position or portion of their portfolio in gold, this is all happening in relatively stable times. You let
Right.
something disruptive occur, and there could be some serious shaking up that we could all be experiencing. So
Yeah.
another reason why, for those of you tuned in, that contact our office, find out more about gold, get yourself diversified. I mean, they're gold and silver both are snatching headlines left and right. And what all these commentaries and all these analysts are talking about is this is just the beginning. So certainly be something interesting to watch in the future. If you're not tuned into this podcast, please do so, as we'd love to talk to you more in the future. Chris, thank you so much. Gold and
Yep.
silver on a tear. Get ready to talk about that more in the future as well. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Take care.